Good Thursday morning and welcome to Korea Today.
Two mortar cannons strike a UN peacekeeping base nearby the Korean handmade units camp in South Sudan as conflicts between government and rebel forces intensify. The 280-member contingent are reported to be safe.
We are entering the 18th day of the railway union strike here in Korea. I have details coming up in the headlines.
And as we approach the year's end, will the government pass the budget bill on time? Our Business Daily has a story on that coming up on In Print.
What did Koreans read the most this year? Last year's bestseller topped the list again, and we'll tell you what it is coming up.
Also on Korea Today, holiday cards may seem like a thing of the past, but if you look at some of the latest designs, you might change your mind and send out those last-minute greeting cards. As the year comes to an end, find some time to kick back, relax, and reflect on the past year. We take you on a serene journey of healing and reflection to Yesan, live on this Thursday, December 26, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Thursday morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas yesterday. Over 2,000 people gathered at Myeongdong Cathedral here in Seoul and for a Christmas Mass, and many other churches held their Christmas services as well. Over at the Vatican, Pope Francis held his first Christmas Eve Mass since his papacy, calling for an end to conflicts in regions like Syria, South Sudan, and Congo, saying peace is a daily commitment. He said that believers and non-believers together can spread the message of peace.
And as for the Korean President Park Geun-hye, she spent a part of her day visiting child welfare centers in Yangcheong-gu, a couple of them to say the least. And what was the gift from the President of Korea? Well, it mainly consisted of shoes as well as backpacks, very practical items for the kids. And she spent time with the children singing songs as well as having sort of a Christmas party, even with a cake and all. So it had everything.
President Park Geun-hye as the Santa.
Exactly. The next best thing would be actually hanging out with Santa Claus, right?
All right, we'll get a check of other stories we're following at this hour with Na Hyun-kyung.
Thousands of people are believed to have died over the past 10 days in South Sudan, where a conflict between government and rebel forces continues to intensify. On Tuesday local time, two mortar cannons struck an area close to where Korean troops are stationed. No Korean nationals were injured, but several Nepalese soldiers were wounded. Meanwhile, the controversy of whether the Korean peacekeepers in South Sudan asked for additional ammunition from Japan continues. The Korean government had made clear earlier that, unlike Japan's explanation, the request was made to the UN channel first. Korea's foreign ministry also dismissed claims that Seoul's actions could be used to support Tokyo's pursuit of collective self-defense. And tensions are mounting around the Chogesa Temple in downtown Seoul, where some railway union members on strike have sought refuge. A day after hiding, one of the core members of the union's leadership held a press conference on Wednesday.
I've come into the temple with the feeling of desperation, hoping that religious groups, including the Chogesa Temple, will step forward to mediate and help us resolve this railway strike.
Religious officials from various groups, including members of the Anglican Church of Korea, were spotted going into the temple the same day. The police so far has not sent its officers into the compound and is taking a cautious approach. Instead, they spent another day checking people going in and out of the temple. This all comes, of course, after some key union members evaded arrest during what ended up being a violent police raid also in Seoul this past Sunday. And in an attempt to break the deadlock, CEO Choi Yun-hye, the head of the nation's railroad corporation Korail, went to see some of its unionized members on site on Wednesday. This was Che's first visit since the strike began earlier this month. Most of the members on strike gave her the cold shoulder, and the two sides failed to produce any significant results.
It is very unfortunate that the union and management cannot find common ground on the issue of this new subsidiary company, when as a matter of fact, the firm cannot possibly be privatized.
With the union's walkout entering its 18th day now, Thursday's overall train operation rate is expected to fall again to 76%. Operations in the metropolitan area during commuting hours, which remained unaffected in the early phase of the strike, have also dropped to 85% of its normal level. Korail says its plan to hire 500 temporary workers could come as early as before the end of this week. North Korea has called on President Park Geun-hye to decide whether her policy toward the regime is based on trust or confrontation. In a statement, Pyongyang's committee in charge of inter-Korean affairs says the Park administration needs to choose whether it wants to continue on its path of confrontation and war, which will lead to self-destruction. It also warned President Park to not forget about how her father and former President Park Chung-hee was assassinated for not embracing public sentiment. Seoul's Unification Ministry spokesperson says the South Korean government does not feel the need to respond to each and every one of Pyongyang's quote-unquote rude remarks, but did add Seoul plans on announcing its stance on the matter sometime on Thursday. The committee's statement comes after North Korea's state-run media quoted its leader Kim Jong-un as saying, quote-unquote, a war always breaks out without any prior notice.
And good morning, everyone. Time for a look through your newspaper headlines. Let's go ahead and kick off today's edition of In Print with a look at the front page of 조선일보. Its main headline reads, Strike on its 18th day. Train operation at state of exhaustion. As many Koreans nationwide enjoyed a Christmas holiday yesterday, among those who did not include the folks who run the trains, of course. And behind the bright lights of that Korail train, you might be able to spy the presumably fatigued eyes of the railroad engineer, as the image title notes that the train engineers are beat, leading to Korail's decision to reduce their train service rate to 76%. Now, the sub-headlines add that some 5,000 relief workers are taking on the work of 8,600 staff, and they say this year's Christmas has been the worst. One 50-year-old worker says he's been working every day since the strike broke out on the 9th of this month, worked the overnight shift on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and otherwise has worked a 24-hour shift once every 4 days. Meanwhile, the railway union members say they simply cannot desert their cause at this juncture. Scooting on over to our next daily, 동아일보's headline takes us to the outpour of comments from Pyongyang, perhaps sidelined by other more local issues as of late. It reads, Kim Jong-un's unpredictable, explosive words and threats of war. The lead says North Korea's provocative threats has been heating up since the execution of its former number 2, Chang Song-taek, and you did hear the latest in our headlines just earlier, so we will leave that there. All right, scooting on over to Gyeongyang Shinmun, its headline reads, in special inspection system, lawmakers leave themselves out of monitoring. Now, that special inspection system, you may remember, was proposed by President Park Geun-hye when she was running as a candidate to root out corruption by family members of the president and high-ranking officials. The subheadline adds that lawmakers were included as potential subjects in this special inspection system when the bill was first introduced, but the paper confirmed yesterday that rival parties had agreed to leave lawmakers out, watering down the purpose of the would-be law. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the front page image over at 중앙일보. The title reads, Pope breaks convention and holds baby Jesus statue. As you can see, Pope Francis there giving his homily during a Christmas Eve vigil mass at the Vatican. The statue of baby Jesus from a nativity scene is usually held by assistants, the caption says, but Pope Francis held it himself as he spoke of the message behind Christ's life. believe we have one more paper to look at. Made Business newspaper has its eyes on the bills waiting to become law at this year's end, and the headline reads, Budget National Intelligence Service laws to be passed on the 30th. The paper reports that the leadership of the rival political parties came to a so-called big deal package agreement on Christmas Day. It also reports progress on the Foreign Investment Promotion Act. It's still in negotiations, but the paper includes a chart that outlines the positive impact the Finance and Strategy, the Strategy and Finance Ministry expects from its adoption, including 14,000 new jobs, 2.27 trillion won in investment, that's about $2.1 billion US dollars, and a 0.2 of a percentage point gain in the nation's GDP. And with that, we will wrap your look at what's in print on this Thursday. Now, most markets were closed on Christmas Day yesterday that we follow, save for markets in China and Japan. So here comes their closing numbers.
We're expecting rain or snow this morning.
I figure the weather is going to be more exciting than the markets was, right? Christmas Day yesterday. We'll go over to Incheon with Lee Dami joining us and see how today's will fare. Good morning, Dami.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Namgu, Incheon. Now, yesterday here in Korea, we saw our first ever, not white, but yellow Christmas because of the smog. Looks like today the level of fineness will start to decrease, so the air will start to clear out. This morning, we are starting off with partly foggy skies. Temperatures are at negative 0.4 degrees Celsius. Now, here in the central regions this morning, we are expecting some snow or rain, but not as much because it'll only be piling up to about 1 to 3 centimeters. Now, later in the evening is when conditions are expected to clear out, but once they do, it looks like sharp gusty winds are going to blow our way, bringing down the mercury levels. And over in Seoul tomorrow morning, lows will plummet all the way down to negative 8 degrees. So we're all going to have to start getting ready and bundle ourselves up from head to toe starting maybe tonight. All right, let's go ahead and get a check on the weather for today. Seoul's highs will only reach to 3, Daejeon at 5, Daegu and Gangneung at 7, Busan at 9, Gwangju at 6, and Jeju Island at 8 degrees. Now, when conditions start to get frigid tonight, the cold snap is expected to linger into the weekend as well. That's all for the weather. I'll be back in a few moments.
From the economic downturn in emerging economies to the weakening of the Japanese yen, things didn't look too rosy for Korean exporters in the year 2013. But despite the global setbacks, it was a good year this year. Korea's exports hit an all-time high this year.
That's right. Not only did Korea maintain its 4-year streak as the world's 7th largest exporter, Korea also managed to hit, in the month of October, $50 billion worth of exports. So that is a milestone in itself. So we'll get a look at Korea's export market and how it fared in 2013.
Back in 1964, Korea's annual exports stood at a mere US 100 million. But since then, its growth has been remarkable. In the past 50 years, the scale of Korea's exports has jumped nearly 5,500 times. Especially this year, it's expected to hit an all-time high at US 560 billion.
Since 2011, Korea has achieved its goal of $1 trillion in trade for the last 3 years, and we're expected to hit record-high trade and export surpluses by the end of this year, so it's very likely we'll be able to attain the trade triple crown status.
Currently, out of the many Korean-made goods, a total of 61 categories have made it to the world's #1 in the export market. Of these, which are the best 3 products this year? The first is semiconductor integrated circuits, which reclaimed its #1 spot for the first time in 3 years. As of November, roughly US 52 billion worth of these circuits have been exported. This is a 12.7% hike compared to last year around this time. And it managed to take back this fame despite Japanese makers with their aggressively low-priced products. The second place goes to the already well-established automotive industry. And in third place was ships.
It's safe to say that popular Korean exports such as cars, smartphones, and semiconductors have done extremely well in foreign markets despite global economic slowdowns because of their high quality and competitiveness.
This year, Korea's exports from small and medium-sized companies have been on the rise, outperforming the growth rate of large companies. In addition, the categories being exported have become more diversified than ever. Especially noteworthy is the rapid rise in parts and materials. Korea took 6th place in global parts exports.
Up until the latter part of September, parts exports contributed to nearly 50% at some $200 billion of Korea's overall exports. This is a 3.7% increase compared to last year in the same period. That's why you can say recently the parts materials exports have contributed greatly to the trade surplus in Korea.
So then, besides the traditional strong competitors, what other products have seen a new growth in exports? According to a specialized trade newspaper in Korea, this year's popular export items were cosmetics, fashion, and food products, all which are popular with female consumers, showing how they are leading the production and consumption trends of these goods.
As more and more products for women determine the success of a market, related products are becoming popular export items.
In conjunction with global trends, Korean cosmetics have also received much attention in the export market. According to Korea Pharmaceutical Traders Association, Korean cosmetic exports have seen an annual increase of over 30%. Especially last year, the country's cosmetics exports reached US $1.1 billion, surpassing the scale of imports for the first time. But that's not all. Besides the already popular goods, what other products have high potential in becoming the next strong contenders? First, there are various Korean food products that have captured the taste buds of many, becoming great contributors to bringing in foreign currency. Korea Agrofisheries Trade Corporation picked Korean laver or kim as one of this year's hit export items. Korean red pepper paste gochujang is also becoming one of the more promising goods exported. The food hallyu has also spread to various snacks as well. Korea's snack producer Orion made more than 1.2 trillion won, or $1.1 billion, from overseas sales. And another snack manufacturer, Bingure, is expected to bring in a near 15 billion won, or $14 million in exports from China by the end of this year, just with its banana-flavored milk, poised to become a national drink in the country. Besides these, various mid-sized firms with their IT-based gadgets are emerging on the global stage. In developing countries in Central and South Americas, as well as the Middle East, where public security can sometimes become a problem, Korean-made high-tech cameras, car black boxes, and digital door locks are extremely popular. Also, with many countries entering aging societies, many Korean healthcare products are also becoming popular export items.
It looks like more and more practical and creative products, and those with added services will be the leading goods in the export market.
From the traditional strong players such as high-tech cars and mobile phones to all kinds of everyday goods, the Korean export market, with its annual average 19.2% growth, continues to fuel the country's economy. But there are still issues that need to be addressed and resolved.
What's most important is that Korea's companies make and launch competitive and high-quality goods to actively challenge foreign firms with their products around the globe.
And still ahead, Christmas is over, but the holidays continue. If you're behind on mailing those holiday greeting cards this season, you might want to check out the latest designs, and you'll at least have an excuse. We look at handmade cards, pop-up cards, and more.
I'm still waiting for my Christmas card.
No excuse for you, Yan.
It'll be a New Year's Day card. How's that?
The year is coming to an end, and how many books did you get to this year? And if you're wondering what other people are reading or have read so far this year, we have the the list of the top 10 best-selling books here in Korea with our reporter Song Ji-san. Good morning.
Good morning. So how many books did you get through?
Well, I read about one book a week, and I wonder how many of you read these books of the bestseller of this year. And of course, in times of economic hardships like these, a lot of people search for books that could improve themselves when getting a job, and those others who are going through the hard times look for books that could actually comfort them in life. And actually, these books were reflected with those trends, and let's take a look at which book was the bestseller of this year.
What did you read this year? You might get all the information you need from the internet or your smartphone, but most people turn to trusty paperbacks when they want to reflect on themselves or need structured information based on their interests.
I browsed through the bestsellers and I'm interested in books on the humanities. Today I picked up this book called One Thing, which helps you see what's important in life and focus on that one thing.
I buy 2 to 4 books every time I go to the bookstore, and I mostly look for books on different hobbies. I want to read more books on travel and hiking in the new year.
And the most popular book of the year was written not by a famous author, but by a Buddhist monk.
Healing continues to be the keyword for this year too, with people turning to books for consolation. Reflecting a trend, Venerable Heaven's mentoring essay, Things You Can Finally See When You Stop, has topped the bestsellers list for 2 consecutive years.
In the meantime, fiction made a comeback in 2013. Novels by foreign and domestic authors dominate top 5 of the best books of the year, with French psychiatrist François Lelord's Hector and the Search for Happiness and Korean literature legend Cho Jung-le's latest book, Great Jungle. But when you take a look at numbers 6 through 10, there are more practical books, including self-help books like Dream On by speaker Kim Mi-young. Tong Fu and The Power of Habit also made it to top 10, with Korean psychiatrist Lee Gun-hoo's book, I Want to Enjoy Life Until Death, wrapping up the list.
Healing was still the key word for 2013, with novels regaining popularity as superstar authors like Haruki Murakami and Shin Kyung-suk released books in the second half of the year.
When it came to books in English, Koreans and foreigners alike went for best-selling books that were made into movies, like The Great Gatsby by Scott Fitzgerald, The Life of Pi, and Les Miserables, all of which were successful in theaters. By age group, the number of books bought by people in their teens and 20s has continued to drop in recent years, while the amount bought by those in their 40s to 60s and over has risen. E-book sales have continued to rise, while sales growth at Korea's biggest bookstore slipped into the negatives for the first time in 30 years.
The number of books bought by young readers drops every year, and they spend more time with their smartphones and other entertainment devices, and many of those who do read have switched to e-books. What's also interesting to note here is that the baby boomer generation, people now in their 50s, are the best customers these days, and they're also buying a lot of e-books as well.
But many bookworms in the store still say that nothing can replace the act of reading an actual book and the experience of flipping through the pages.
I think because smartphones have become really like a big part of everyone's life. I think that going back to actual paper books is a lot better, so I'm trying to wean myself off my cell phone and look for more paper books to read.
As much as I appreciate these electronic gadgets, I still prefer underlining my favorite quotes and looking back at them whenever I want to do a little self-reflection.
All right, it's true that you can fit thousands of books, if not tens of thousands of books in your electronic gadgets, but nothing really beats the sound and the smell and just going through an old paperback or a hardback, and you actually have some books with us.
That's right. Let's start with the bestseller of the year, which was the essay by Venerable Heaven. I guess some of you have already read it because it was the bestseller for last year and this year too. And this is actually a collection of the Buddhist monk's tweets. He has nearly 700,000 followers and who are very seeking to gain some of his wisdom through his posts. And he actually convinced the readers to live easier and take some time and give themselves a space in this busy and hard life they're going through right now. And let's go over some novels here. And we also saw that the star writer or the superstar authors in Korea, they prove that they have the selling power here as well. And this is the latest book by Jo Jung-Lee, the legend of the literature, and his latest book, The Great Jungle or Jungle Great. This was at number 3, and this is a 3-book series, and the latter 2 books are also in the top 100 as well. It's a book about the business world of China, which is very fierce and a lot of competition going on. And you could also see some other books here as well by Murakami Haruki, another popular author here in Korea as well.
Another legend.
Japanese writer. But I mean, Venerable Hemin's essay was my favorite last year. But I guess the trend is becoming that you go big on SNS, social network services like Twitter or other resources first, and then it becomes a book, right? And all else comes along.
Yeah, there's another example proving that point, and this is actually a poem book. It's now called Seoul Si or Seoul City and Seoul Poem because it's the same syllable in Korean. And of course, this is a very short tweet by the author. And if you look at one of the example of his poems, it says, "I worry about you all the time." Guess what title of this poem is?
Can't really see from this angle, but
I think she wants us to guess.
I worry about you all the time. 온종일 내 걱정 about my stock price. My stock price is the title of the book.
That's not your daughter or your son, but your
It's not very romantic at all.
And a lot of these poems are like that. You could just glance at it. It's like a sentence or less, but you could actually relate to yourself with these poems that were tweeted online through SNS. Another example we could prove that the online was a great media of spreading these books was a webtoon. These are a collection of webtoons posted online as well. And these are actually posted online through portals like Naver or Taeum, and a lot of people read cartoons through these web portals nowadays. So these are actually published into books later on. They gain a lot of popularity, and these were a neat trend leading the cartoon or the webtoons here in Korea as well.
Those are the cartoons that make you think. They have a smart satire in it too. And there's an English study guide in that list too.
Let's go over here, and this is
I
actually
knew it would be a TOEIC book. TOEIC books have been so
vocabulary guidebook, and just how much Koreans are worried about their English as well as their English test scores, because it's very critical in getting a job here in Korea. Among the top 20 books, 2 books were related to TOEIC and TOEIC tests because they wanted to buy more books and go to hagwons or institutes to get better scores.
And those TOEIC scores actually really go on an employment resume, and people look at that with utmost importance.
Exactly.
All right, well, those are some of the books. We had everything from culture to entertainment. But, I've noticed that the subjects have been getting a little bit simpler and shorter, right? Is it because our attention spans are getting shorter?
I think it's more really focusing on the concept of healing more.
Right, looking into yourself and just finding that, peace of mind.
Right, so be sure to grab one of these after the broadcast today.
Well, yeah, right.
Read them all, I would say.
She bought it for us. This is the message. Hey, read more.
Thank you.
Thank you
for this.
Okay, and now we're going to go back over to Idami, who is joining us from Incheon, and she's going to be showing us a different form of gymnastics and morning exercise, and it involves Korea's martial arts. Dami, over to you.
So I'm back reporting live inside at an indoor gym located in Incheon. And this morning we can see quite a few people exercising or doing some sort of aerobics in a Taekwondo uniform. Well, it's a little bit of both put together. It's none other than Taekwon Chejo or Taekwondo aerobics. Now, Taekwondo aerobics is taking music and the art of Taekwondo and blending them together. So what's great about Taekwondo aerobics is that you can learn the overall moves of Taekwondo by having fun with music. So it's a great muscle building and mental exercise. Now, this morning what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn just a couple of basic moves here this morning. So, 네, 원장님 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하십니까.
네, 그러면 일단은 기본 동작을 몇 가지 좀 시범을 보여주세요.
네, 알겠습니다. 자, 지금 하실 동작은
네.
몸통 맞기 동작입니다. 몸통.
Alright, so this is a move, a self-defense move called 몸통 맞기. Okay?
자, 몸통.
Alright.
맞기.
네, 다음 동작이요.
다음 동작은 얼굴을 맞춥니다.
Alright, so this kind of defenses the face called 얼굴 맞기. Okay?
반대손 얼굴 맞기.
Alright, 네.
자, 다음은 지르기 동작입니다.
지르기. So this is 지르기. This is an attack move.
반대손.
네, 지르기.
네.
Okay.
이번에는 킥.
네. 앞차기. Okay, so this is the 앞차기. Okay. All right. Oh, so this is another attack move. All right. So I thought it would be really difficult. 감사합니다. But to tell you the truth, I think it's a lot of fun moving or learning Taekwondo moves with the music. For those of you that thought that exercising was always kind of very boring and monotonous, then why not try Taekwondo Aerobics? You can always find more information on the subtitles on the screen. That's all I have for now. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
Maybe that will be my New Year's resolution.
Taekwondo.
To do Taekwondo.
Many different ways to get fit. Forget Pilates, go with Taekwondo,
Yes.
I guess. Lots of different options out there for you. And speaking of options, there are a lot of options when it comes to cards. I send cards out every year,
but
you
it
still
has
haven't
yet to
gotten yours.
arrive.
Not to us yet.
Young Kim's card is on the way to my house.
It's the post office delays.
That's right. And 2014 is only a week away as well. So if you haven't done so already, it's time to start sending out those New Year's cards as well. So today we're going to look at some interesting and unique New Year's cards designs. So take a look.
With the year quickly coming to an end, people are busy getting ready to bid 2013 farewell and welcome the new year. This time of the year, there are a lot of people picking out various cards to send and share. From Santa Claus to Christmas tree designs, these colorful and adorable holiday looks add to the bright holiday spirit. And out of these countless Christmas card designs, there was one in particular that captured the attention of many. It was none other than these Christmas pop-up cards. Pop-up cards bring the design to life with their 3D-like aesthetics, which add to the magical and touching Christmas mood. And of course, the beautiful designs also draw in people's eyes. Christmas card designs instill a sense of joy in both the sender and receiver.
They're so pretty and cute. Just opening them up makes me happy.
I think just this card alone will make a great gift. It can be used as a holiday decoration for the house. I really like it. It's so cute and lively.
There's another very special Christmas card design. Most Christmas cards are made out of paper, but this one is a little different. It's handmade and sewn with ribbons and red-colored fabric. As all of the designs included in this card are created manually, it takes more than 2 hours to complete one. That's what makes this carefully made Christmas card even more special.
With social media platforms like Facebook becoming so popular nowadays, I feel like the only real meaningful remnants are handwritten letters. That's why I decided to make my own card this Christmas so the receiver can really feel my love and appreciation for them this holiday.
From abundant Christmas gift visuals, a meaningful end-of-the-year ribbon design, to what looks like a diary full of memories, these are all one-of-a-kind Christmas card designs carefully handmade with and for loved ones.
I'm very proud of myself that I was able to make this beautiful Christmas card on my own. I hope my boyfriend will like the card I made for him.
And with the year 2014 just around the corner, writing a season's greeting card is also a great tradition. There are various traditional images that are used and displayed on Korea's New Year cards. Cranes for longevity, good luck pockets to hope for a good fortune, fans to wish for happiness to blow into one's life, apricot blossoms which stand for welcoming the spring, as well as magpies known to invite welcome guests in the new year. These images have all been the main components decorating the cover of Korean New Year cards. But recently, there's a new design that has emerged as a popular theme on Korean New Year cards. And it's this hanbok, or Korean traditional dress motif design. Many Koreans continue the tradition of wearing hanboks to welcome the new year. That's why it's the perfect design to symbolize Korea's new year. And what's extra special about this card is that the card features a hanbok silhouette frame as opposed to the regular rectangular or square-shaped cards. This card offers a unique flavor of Korea, being excellently modeled after the hanbok skirt's elegant frame, jogori or upper garments ribbon, as well as the detailed and bold traditional designs on the skirt.
It's a really good design, and I like the details of it. It's really good.
Yeah, it's very nice and very royal. Looks like it takes a long time to make. Yeah.
So how did this hanbok-shaped card come to life?
Hanbok is an attire with breathtaking contours. That's why I thought it would be best to highlight these detailed lines when making a New Year's card with a hanbok motif. And instead of staying within the standard rectangular card frame, we designed this card so that it resembles the shape of the sophisticated hanbok.
New Year cards made from traditional Korean material have also been designed as pop-up cards featuring a beautiful Korean woman wearing a hanbok. These unique designs carry traditional Korean patterns, colors, and even the architecture of homes. These, with their various New Year's themes, are enough to wish someone a Happy New Year. With only a few days left this year, don't forget to wish loved ones around you a Happy New Year with these spectacular cards. And remember to share the spirit with everyone around you.
All right, so we have some cards that are in front of us.
Right? Right.
Very
and
beautiful.
This is the hanbok New Year's card that you saw in the report.
It's really nice.
It is really beautiful. And you have to wonder, where do you write your message for this card, right?
Excuse
so
me, miss. We must
right, slightly inappropriate, but go under a skirt, and
okay.
this is where you write. So it's different from the conventional square-shaped or rectangle-shaped cards, I must
But I mean,
say.
they're so delicate and very
So
detailed,
beautiful,
right?
right?
Yeah, I mean, look at, and this one, the pop-up card, I think is really the fun part. Look at the reindeer. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like really three-dimensional there. It's cute, right?
It looks like the reindeer is running.
It is
towards
running. I
someone.
can't make it work. Yay, run!
So cute.
So now I have no excuse for not sending cards, you know? I mean, these cards, they look so nice. The hanbok ones, they represent culture and much more. This one as well. So there's a lot of different options out there, including
I'll give
the
you
pop-up
another
ones.
opportunity for New Year's cards.
To make up for the Christmas card that you haven't sent.
Sure, sure. All right, well, still ahead on Korea today. Not a lot of days left on that calendar of 2013. It's a good time to give yourself some room to breathe and kick back. Shay Meinecke takes us on a calm and quiet journey to a beautiful temple and also dips in a hot spring to enjoy a moment of reflection. Stay tuned for that story.
And a good Thursday morning to you all as we kick things off with yet another award given to figure skater Kim Yeon-ah. This time it was the 2013 U.S. Sports Academy Female Athlete of the Year. Now, through an online voting, the 23-year-old figure skater beat out names like Serena Williams and Missy Franklin to win her second honor since receiving the honors back in 2010. Now, Kim Yeon-ah's amazing return from a hiatus resulted in the top honors as tennis star Rafael Nadal received the Male Athlete of the Year award. Meanwhile, Kim Yeon-ah is preparing for the upcoming National Figure Skating Championships set to take place early next month. And moving on, for 16-year-old Lydia Ko, it was time for her to part ways with her swinging coach Guy Wilson after all these years of training under him. And now taking over the job will be Sean Hogan of the David Ledbetter Golf Academy. Now, Lydia Ko is now spending most of her time in the U.S. after earning her LPGA Tour membership, parting ways with her longtime coach because of the distance. She stated that Wilson, who lives in New Zealand, cannot be with her in the U.S. and has decided to hire Sean Hogan as her new swinging coach. Meanwhile, David Ledbetter made comparisons to Annika Sorenstam when talking about Lydia Ko's ability to play golf. And now moving on to some Wednesday night KBL action. A lot of fans showed up to the arenas on Christmas as they saw Incheon ET-Line Elephants crush KCC Aegis 86-61, with the LG Sakers cruising past KT Sonic Boom 72-66. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the two Seoul teams square off as the Seoul SK Knights took on the Seoul Samsung Thunders. Now, first quarter of the game, SK spreading the ball around well as 6 players score in the quarter compared to the 2 that score for Samsung as they take a 22-10 lead after the first quarter. Second quarter, SK's Courtney Sims goes insane, scoring 15 points in the quarter as SK goes into halftime with a huge 52-26 lead. Samsung tries to change things up in the second half of the game as they outscore SK in each of the next 2 quarters, but the 26-point deficit after the first half is too large as SK hangs on to take this game 83-68 with Courtney Sims finishing the game with 34 points and 14 rebounds. And finishing things off with some Wednesday night's V-League action, Daejeon KGC were able to dominate the Hunguk Insurance Life Pink Spiders 3-0 over on the women's side. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Korean Air Jumbos take on the Samsung Hwanje Blue Fangs over on the men's side. Now, first set, a rather close set here, but Korean Air dominates with the serve aces and blocks as they take the first set 25-22. Second set, Korean Air continues to cruise through with Samsung Hwanje's offense struggling on the night. Even with Leo Martinez putting up 38 attack points, Michael Sanchez and Shin Young-soo combined for 42 points as the Korean Air Jumbos end their 5-game losing streak with a 3-0 victory. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
The end of the year is fast approaching. And as we look back to all the happenings of 2013, what are some moments or events that stand out? Well, we want to know. So send us your pictures or videos of this past year to Korea Today at arirang.co.kr, and we could possibly select them and show them on air on December 31st. Include your name, brief description of what you're sending, including the city and country of where your photo or video was taken. The deadline is December 29th, so send your captured moments soon.
The deadline is approaching. Send in those pictures.
That's right. Get those in, and we'll share them with you for our New Year's Day special. There's 2 ways to, I guess, end the new year.
Really?
Okay.
There are 2 ways. I know there's only one way.
Okay, this is you either party it loud or you do it quietly, a reflective time. Shay Meinecke has the latter for us. Good morning.
Good morning.
And actually, we prepared something for you.
Well, I was going to do it at the end of the show,
we're
so
gonna
let's
keep that.
wait.
We're going to hold that.
That's fine. Yeah, I did actually, I kind of spent it really relaxing and stuff like that, but I went to a famous temple in the Yesan, Chungcheongnam-do area, as well as a relaxing but also eventful hot spring resort. So I had a really good weekend, so let's check out the report.
Yesan in Chungcheongnam-do is located in the west central region of Korea. Known for its long-standing temples and traditionally well-known hot springs, Yesan is the perfect relaxing destination to look back on the year and cleanse your body and soul. From Seoul's Central City Terminal on board a non-stop express bus to Yesan, it takes about 2 hours. There's a temple that has remained in the folds of Yesan's Deokseung-san mountain for the past 1,500 years. At the entrance of Sudaksa Temple, there's the first door that takes you inside the compound.
Good morning, everyone. Right now we are at the Ilju-moon, or the front gate of the Sudaksa Temple. Right now, if you pass through this temple, you are going into Buddha's world of truth.
Next comes the scary-looking kings, who are there to scold humans for their greed and evil deeds.
I came here to reflect on my past year and also, though, to make some plans for next year. But these 4 kings here, they look kind of scary. I'm a little worried that they might scold me. As Sudok-so Temple continues up beyond the midpoint of Doksungsan Mountain, the stairs naturally grow steeper. Wow, this is marvelous. And finally, after the last step, is Daeungjeon, the main building of the temple constructed in the 14th century, which is considered the oldest preserved wooden building in Korea. What I think is most impressive is that this Daeungjeon, or this temple, the timber is over 700 years old. It's very, very interesting. This building, with its solidity and exceptional structural aesthetics that withstood 700 years, has been designated as one of Korea's treasures. 안녕하세요. The reason why I came here is because I wanted to prepare myself for the new year. Following the monks' careful instructions, I reflect back on my past year and make a little wish. For the first time, I also learn how to bow. This is definitely a new experience for me, but it was very peaceful and relaxing, and I wasn't sure how to do everything, but it felt good to do it. My heart feels much lighter and pure.
언제나 항상 행복하시고요. 뜻하시는 일 많이 많이 성취하셨으면 좋겠습니다.
안녕히 계세요. Bye-bye. Now I know why so many people make their way over here, especially at this time of the year. While coming down from Sudok-sa Temple, there are plenty of roof tiles with wishes written on them. People make offerings and write down their prayers in hopes that they will be answered. All right, well now I have the opportunity to write about what I want for my family and friends. I feel like because I did write it, now that maybe my family and friends have a better chance for some wealth and some health for the 2014 year. Outside the temple, there are many dried vegetables and herbs for sale. As most temples are located deep within the mountains, many natural greens are also abundant around the temple grounds. 이게 뭐예요?
요거는 이제 고사리. 이거는 이제 오래 두고 먹을 수 있기 때문에 이제 이렇게 말려서 다시 불고서 그렇게 휘잡수는 거예요.
There are also a lot of restaurants that serve these dried greens nearby the temple, and these vegetable-based dishes are much loved by Koreans. This is a course meal that offers around 10 types of wild herbs and vegetables. Look at all these different types of side dishes. There are a ton of them. You probably can't even count them. It all looks really delicious. Each of them features a unique taste, yet all of them go perfectly with the whole meal. But this one in particular is a little sweet actually, and very, very wet. There's a lot of water packed inside of it, whereas some other ones over here are a little bit more bitter, but all delicious, all a little bit different, and I like them. These wild greens have been recognized as healthy foods since they are low in calories but packed with nutrients. This dadak root, grilled with sweet and spicy sauce, is especially good for the respiratory tract. Absolutely delicious. The best thing about eating namu is that I don't feel heavy after eating it, and I actually feel a lot healthier too. Perfect. A 15-minute drive away from the Sudok-sa Temple is the Doksan Hot Springs. For the past 1,300 years, Koreans have used hot springs for bathing, treatment, and relaxation purposes. And since the first modern hot spring facility was introduced about a century ago, the popularity has grown rapidly. Currently, there are more than 400 throughout the country. In particular, Doksan Hot Springs boasts a 500-year history. Especially during the cold winter months,
many visitors seek out these hot springs.
The reason I'm coming here to the spa is because I need to relieve my stress from the year, and I hear that warm water is really good for blood circulation, so let's go have a great time and relieve some stress.
It looks like I'm at a water park in the summertime. With 45 degrees Celsius hot springs flowing here and there, there's no reason to worry about the cold temperatures. And there are many ways to enjoy the experience. This area is open to everyone, and people enter with swimsuits to quietly enjoy the calming atmosphere. But for thrill seekers, there are special experiences available here at this facility.
Alright, Master Blaster, let's go!
Everyone is wearing a life vest, so it's not your regular hot spring. It has a 173-meter high water slide.
Yeah! I feel like a kid! I feel like a freaking kid. That was amazing.
There's also a very interesting place set aside in the outdoor spa area.
What are you guys doing here?
It's cold outside and it's warm in here, so it's good to eat something in this area.
Visitors can enjoy drinks and snacks from the aqua bar inside the hot spring. The taste is good, but the atmosphere just makes it perfect.
This is definitely a different experience for me, but I can say that, you know, I feel pretty carefree right now. I feel relaxed, and this is a great time to spend the day.
My time at Doksan Hot Springs was filled with relaxation and boosted my spirits. It's the perfect destination to relax and plan for the new year.
Happy New Year!
Hi, so you went to see some, yeah, exactly, some temples, and you went to the hot springs without us.
That's
so.
not work. Shay, you just had a vacation.
I don't think I am working. I'm just going to awesome places.
So if you were given a chance to go again, and you were only allowed to visit one place, then where would it be?
Oh man, that's a hard question.
Why do you have to put him on the spot?
Yes, I like doing that to people.
I think I would probably go to the hot spring resort because, you know, it was the first time I've done that. And when I was told that I was going to go, I was a little kind of shocked. Like, hey, it's freezing outside, but you're going to go in this like hot spring resort. And at first I was kind of intimidated. I was like, I don't know if I want to jump in there. But once I did, it was really, it was quite an experience. Felt really warm. Just the contrast between the outside and the water was just excellent.
Maybe you did some
swimming suit.
Yeah.
Maybe you did some research on hot springs, and Chungcheongdo is really famous for its hot springs. Tell us why.
It actually has an underground natural hot spring that's been flowing for 30,000 years, which I think is pretty impressive. And because the entire time you're there, you're like, wow, how do they afford all this like heating bills? Because like everything is just like, it's so big. There's like water everywhere. You can eat food at at a place. You can go to a place and have like fish, like pick on your skin. Dr. Fish, yeah. And then you can also just, go to lap pools and just have a good time. So it was pretty impressive. I really had a good time there.
Okay, so relaxing at the pool or in the hot springs, that's also an option, but temple stay is another relaxing experience, very serene. And it's not just for short periods of time, there's extended temple stays as well, but it's available all over the country, right?
Yeah, I believe there's about 100 temple stay programs around Korea right now, and it's been around for 10 years, so there's it's really popular with foreigners, and really, if you want to go to any area, just honestly, you can talk to a lot of different people because there's lots of different groups that set things up. You can call the temple stay programs and find out information to get there. But yeah, I definitely advise to do that because it's a totally different experience. When I was talking to her on the report, it was I just felt like just calm and peaceful just being there. So if you have a temple stay, if you go to the temple stay, you're gonna feel the same way.
Maybe
So.
it's an option for New Year's Eve. Yeah. No.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think so. I think so.
If you want to relax, I think that's the best place to go. So.
Very relaxing way to cap off the old year.
Yeah, yeah, and I need to relax a little bit, just unwind. So.
Thank you, Shay, for this report, and happy holidays. Young says he's gonna send a New Year's card, but he will never. So here's your
wow.
Right,
This
New
is
Year's
awesome.
cards from us, Korea
Oh
Today.
wow, thank you for both you guys. That's great.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Korea Today.
And we will see you back here on Friday tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
I have nothing for you guys.